Hello, my YouTube friends. Thanks for joining in tonight. Man, if you haven't hit that subscribe button, write down snare like a snare drum. Hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Type down there as to why you like a Shure microphone, and that's going to get you in, man. It's going to get you in the drawing we got coming up in a few days, and you don't want to miss out. Oh man, we got a lot of great things going on. Let me see if I can pull a guest in tonight. Dennis Rivadeneira. Man, we're going to be talking about a lot of cool things. And I'd sure like to get him in and talk about what it's like to actually do sound, uh, run sound for different artists. And he is the expert at running sound. And we're going to be talking to him and seeing actually what it's like to run sound for big time artists and find out just how many people, just what all is entailed, you know. But yeah, we got a lot of great things going on here at the studio. If I'm out of breath, excuse me, man. I just got back from the gym and I was running late as always. I might have to move my time up just a little bit more. Instead of coming on at 7, maybe 7:30 would probably be easier on me. I hate to do that to all you guys that are waiting to check out my channel, but it's really, really hard for me to get out of the gym, clean up my mess and whatnot, and make it back here and get on for you guys. Like I didn't even eat dinner yet, so not that I can't make it, and I'm not crying or anything, but it'd be nice to have a full stomach and actually get on here and hang out with you guys, man. But excuse the trains. We got the trains going off tonight and some other things. Maybe you can hear them and maybe you can't. I'm not sure. But it sure is good to be here tonight and be hanging out with y'all in the studio. Um, Last night we talked about microphones, and you guys know I love talking about microphones, and we were talking about the Rode NT1 microphone, which is probably one of my go-to microphones that I like to hammer down on and start out and try to lay some tracks with, just simply because it's like a little workhorse, man. It reminds me of a SM57 by Shure. It just seems like everything I put in front of it, it has a real nice, clean sound to it with no hype to the microphone. So I'm gonna put a link down there below too for you guys to actually click on. It'll take you to Amazon, and they've got a real nice package right now on the Rode NT1. It actually, you get the microphone. I had it wrong last night, but you get the microphone, you get the shock mount with the windscreen, and then you get a set of headphones, and then you also get the cable as a bonus. So I left out the cable, but anyway, it's like 289 or something like that. Golly, I mean, you can't beat that price for a professional microphone sent to your door. And so, by if you do order through the link that I put down below, it'll just add some cookies to give me some cookies and actually helps me out promote my channel. So anything that I put down there, it just it helps me out. But I really don't talk about things that I don't believe in or I don't like. So as you can see, I am a mic lover, and I love all microphones, but some a little more than others, just because I can count on them as a go-to microphone to start doing my tracking. So, yeah, we got a lot of great things going on. Dennis texted me a while ago and said he was going to be running a little late. He had to run out and get some dinner for family and all. And I was like, cool, man, I'm going to go on a little late to myself. And so no rush, no worries or anything. So he'll be popping in whenever he gets in and gets available. If you guys hear a little clicking going on the floor down here, it is my little dog, Ruby. She actually wants some attention right now. I've been gone for a few hours, and she's acting like she needs my attention, but she's just gonna have to wait because she does have dog food in there and her water and all. So she is taken care of. And the only one that hasn't eaten tonight is me. So I'm okay with that, man. I'm trying to get in shape. And it's been really, really a struggle, you guys, because the hardest thing in the world is making it to the gym and getting down there and trying to get in shape, man. And I've been at it probably, I don't know, probably maybe a little over 3 months now. And I'm taking actually on Monday nights, I'm taking a body pump class, which is a lot of squats, military presses, and forward lunges. And so that's Monday night. And then Wednesday night, I'm doing a core class. That's abs. And then after that 30-minute class, I immediately go into another class, and that's RPM class, and that's riding the bike for 30 minutes. And then Thursday night, there's another class I'm doing. It's called combat, and it's actually just swinging and punching and kicks and all that. So, man, if I can't get in shape doing all that, I just I don't know what to say. But anyway, it's been a real deal, and I love getting on here with you guys and talking about audio equipment and recording. And if we can get Dennis on here, man, when he makes it in, we're going to be talking about running sound and what that's really all about for running sound for thousands of people. High expectations. I'm sure everybody's like on a little edgy until the show starts, and then I'm sure probably I can imagine that once the show starts and everything's checking out and the sound is really good, and you kind of get that vibe that everything's just clicking right. From there on out, it ought to be pretty cool and enjoyable to enjoy the rest of the show and to see people just rocking out, and the people into the fans into the musicians, and the musicians putting on the show that they do. And that's something to really think about. And those days that I went to a lot of concerts in the 80s, in the late 80s and the early 90s, and I was a big concert guru guy, I guess, whatever you might want to say. The big hair bands, I went and watched all the hair bands. Like I seen Ozzy, I seen Cheap Trick, I seen, golly, man, Poison, Tom Petty. I seen Tom Petty several times, and Cheap Trick. Let's see, I seen Rush. I seen them 3 times. Rush. I seen Van Halen 3 times. Oh man, the list goes on and on. Pat Benatar, seen her. Joan Jett, I seen her. God, man, who ought I see, man? I'm trying to think of all the concerts that I went to that really, really enjoyed all those live concerts that I went and seen. And just really, I went and seen Night Ranger several times, and that was a great band. Night Ranger back in the day. Their guitar player was exceptionally great. I think they had 2 guitar players, but I want to say they got the guy with the blonde hair. He was really, really, really good. And then, yeah, man, that whole group, Night Ranger, was great. If I sit here long enough, I could probably think of tons of other Willie Nelson. So, I've seen some country music. Golly, who else did I see live? Probably the loudest concert that I ever seen was Ozzy Osbourne, and I can't remember if it was Ozzy Osbourne, if Randy Rhoads was playing with Ozzy Osbourne or whatever. But there's my buddy. There's my buddy. Dennis.
No, it's Chris Bulltide.
Chris, there's my other buddy.
I'm a guest, wanted to pop in here.
Well, thank you for popping in, man. I'm waiting on Dennis to show up, man. I know you've been killing it with selling the gold and all, man.
It's been awesome.
What's going on, man?
They're buying it up, dude.
Awesome, man. Hey, look, I've been meaning to get a hold of you. We need to get you in the studio here. We got another Shure SM7B microphone we need to give away. And, I let you handle all that. And I pretty much gave you the ball to do the drawing and everything. So I need to get you over here, my friend. and do another drawing because we need to give a Shure SM7B microphone away.
Sounds
So
good.
you think you can make it by this week, or maybe
Friday.
I mean, we ain't gotta spend long. I just we'll announce who the winner is, and we'll give the mic away. And if you need a jet or whatever, we can do that.
Friday at work.
Perfect, man. So how are you doing, man? Killing it, huh?
I'm ready for that beach spring weather, man.
Oh man, me too, buddy. Me too.
With this COVID-19, you can't do a whole lot. So beach is about all you can do.
I know. So did you go down there this Saturday? I heard that you went down there Saturday, man.
Yeah, I went down to Stingery.
Nice.
Had a little meal and a margarita, Stingerita.
Y'all eat some good seafood, man.
Oh yeah. It was foggy though. It's time of year. It's always a lot of fog in this area. So.
Oh wow.
Been foggy every morning.
I know, man. I know. I've been seeing some of those posts you've been posting in the morning on Snapchat. Man, I was like, dude, what am I looking at? It was fog.
Yep.
Crazy, man. So yesterday it was 70-something degrees, right? And what is it like? 69. It's like, okay, what is it today? Is it 45, 55? I mean,
I don't know. At least the fog's rolling out of here.
Yeah.
Kind of nice.
So look, man, everybody knows that I'm into audio. You support my channel big time. You come over here and, we do a lot of recording together and whatnot. And, but a lot of people don't know, Bull Todd, that you and I actually go do a lot of trout fishing, man. And we love to go trout fishing.
That's right.
So, man,
I'm going to be doing some videos. I mean, there's a few videos on your channel of pulling up and seeing people really doing well. So we're going to be trying to do that more often.
Right. It was that, and you led me down there. You said, hey man, you need to get down to the cut and you need to go there. Every cast they're catching fish.
Yeah.
And so that was wild. So, when you said that, I was like, yeah, right. Whatever.
That was a once in a lifetime event. I mean, I've seen people do really well there, but not every cast like that.
I know.
Threw out a hook and a piece of bread and caught something.
I know, right? And I know. And they were big bull reds too, man. Yeah. So I go down there, I jet down there, and I'm videoing, and I jump out of my truck. I've got my phone in my hand. I'm videoing the whole deal. Scotty Ray's over there, and I say, hey, man, I hear y'all are catching every cast. And he's yanking one in whenever I'm saying that, man.
That's awesome.
And the show went on, man. This show went on, So I'm trying to get Dennis on here tonight, Chris.
Right on. I just want to pop in real quick, say hi, man. It's been a minute.
I know. Thank you so much, man.
Guests need to join in like that, pop in, pop out. That's fine.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So Friday night, I'm going to be expecting you, and our guests are going to be expecting you. We don't have to spend long at it, man. Let's just give the microphone away.
Let's do it.
Yeah. I know, man.
I'm going to win.
I'm excited. Look, if you have a little time tonight, man, hang in. I'm going to be talking to Dennis tonight about what it's like running sound for 30,000 people, man.
That's awesome.
Can you imagine that?
You got to be a pro. Don't mess up. You won't have a job. For real.
For real. Can you imagine the anticipation right before the show? You think the musicians are nervous. Wow.
Yeah, they're triple checking everything.
Yeah, the sound man. He's like, it's got to be right. You know what I mean?
One little disconnect or something not plugged in all the way can make that difference.
Yeah, man. One cable, right?
Yep.
Or feedback or something starts happening. You got to act quick, man. You got to know what to do.
Yep.
Dennis is the man.
I'm going to tune in.
Hang around, man. Ask him some questions, man.
All right. See y'all later.
Okay, buddy. Okay. See you later, man. That was Bull Todd right there, man. Bull Todd is a subscriber to my channel, and me and him do a lot of fishing together. Just an excellent guy, really, really knowledgeable about fishing, whatever. And when I'm telling you, I've went out with this guy, nobody else catching fish. Me and him go out together, get in the water, first cast, live croaker, free lining, and start whamming them. I mean, as soon as the bait hits the water, we're on. But those are other hobbies of mine that I love talking about. As I mentioned before, I could have done a show on. I could have done a YouTube channel on fishing because I love fishing. But I love audio and recording just as much, if not better. And so I said, well, I'll just go ahead and do an audio master channel because I've been doing music. I've been recording music since probably about 86 or 87. And I've been playing music since 82. So I've tracked on reel to reels, a lot of outboard gear I've used. And so that's kind of like my little, been my little forte and my love, my passion, not my income by no means, but it has been a hobby, a growing hobby of mine for many, many years. And so that's why I started this channel, because I wanted to be able to express to you guys some of the mistakes that I made along the way and a lot of the learning curves that I had to go through to get to where I am now. And so I don't mind at all getting on here every night as as much as I can and sharing a little bit of 2 cents that might help you and steer you in the right direction so that you don't make some of those mistakes that I've made in the past. A lot of those mistakes that I made were buying audio equipment that wasn't up to par or was pretty much semi-pro stuff. And so I'd make some purchases and like, oh man, I really wish I would have had the Elam wish I would have had the Elop or whatever, or I wish I would have had this compressor instead of that. And so a lot of my mistakes were buying mistakes, and then a lot of my mistakes were just in the mixing room, was just not really using my ears. And so yeah, I've got a lot to share with you guys. And thank you so much for joining in. As always, I appreciate all of you. Mr. Product Review, I love your fishing. I love fishing for saltwater fish right after a long recording session. No, I know, man, right? Oh, man, if you can kill it in the studio, okay, lay down some killer tracks in the studio, and then get back to the ocean and hammer down some big old trout. I say big trout. Whenever I say big trout, I'm talking anything from 23, 24 inches up. And so I've had stringers for me and bull tide with nothing but 24, 25, 26-inch trout on there. And, some of those big sows, we let go just typically because we want them to get back out there and to produce more. But me and bull tide, man, we get out there and the luck is on, man. I don't know what it is. We like to get out there early in the morning. Early, I say, before the sun rises, and we'll get our rigs all hooked up and whatnot. And as soon as the sun starts to just barely peek over that ocean, we'll just start making our way out there and start throwing and casting and try not to spook the fish, because a lot of times they're right there in that first gut and you don't want to just barge out there and spook them off. So we'll actually throw into the first gut first, and then kind of ease on out and make our way out. Typically, we'll make our way out to the first sandbar and then throw back into that gut. And a lot of times those fish will sit right there on that drop off and ambush that bait, and right there at that drop off. So yeah, there's a lot to it. There's a lot of science to that, but once you get it figured out and you kind of know what to do, it's just tons of fun. And I got to tell you, there's nothing more exciting than killing some big old, hammering down on some big old trout and fishing, man. So yeah, thanks so much for putting that comment in there, Mr. Product Review. We appreciate that. And me and Bull Tide's going to get out there this summer and start killing it for sure, and have a good time. But yeah, mixing and mastering, audio recording, sound, live sound. It's really, really so much to music. whatever field you want to get into. There's so much to offer, and there's so much artistic ability in doing each one of these assets, because you can never really stop learning, and there really is an art to it all in each step, whether it's the tracking part or the mixing part or the mastering part. It truly is an art. And it's just as an artist sits down and he paints a painting, that's the way an audio engineer paints his mix. And so spreading things out, whether you have things in the forefront, things in the middle, things in the back, things up, things down, things right, hard, left, and right. And so what a mixing engineer I'll try to do is create a three-dimensional picture with audio. Is that my friend right there? Come on, Dennis. Let's see here. Somebody's texting me. Let me check it out. Hang in there with me, guys. No, that's not Dennis. That's somebody else. Do you guys ever get texts from numbers that don't have a finished number? Like, how do they get your messages and you call back that number and it won't even call back because there's another digit that's missing? Like, I don't understand that. I wish somebody would explain that to me. But anyway, yeah. So as an artist paints, so as a mixing engineer, that's what he does, and he actually paints the audio and separates everything to where it's three-dimensional, to where you can hear all the parts in the song. But then he does some backtracking to where it's there, but it's not there, and that's when you're getting close to a finished mix. Is when all the elements, you bring it to a nice balance and you can hear everything. And then at that point, it's boring because you can hear everything. And then you start pushing things forward and back. And then that's when you're getting really, really close to a good mix, because all that, some people say, ear candy stuff is in there. And if you listen real, real hard, you can hear it coming and going in the mix, coming and going, but nothing stagnant and just there all the time, one dimensional. And so yeah, mixing. We're going to be talking about that on another night, but that is an art in itself, and I love all of it. I love all the stages of it. I'd really like to get out and do some more. With this COVID stuff, what's going to happen with people who do concerts? All your musicians, are they going to be able to get out there and actually do any more live shows? And if so, when is it going to take place? I know a lot of people need to go back to work. Dennis, I'm sure he's doing a lot of work at home. But I know he wants to get out there and get behind that big board in the center of the arena and actually do some live mixes for some famous people. And he actually has done a lot of famous people in the past, mixed their sound for them. And he's actually done a lot of stuff for the assistant engineer for Mick Guzauski, who actually mixed out Eric Clapton. I think they've done some work for Faith Hill. I think they've done just tons of work. Bette Midler, all kind of people that they've done mixing and mastering for. So Dennis is a really experienced engineer who has the credentials backing him. And so I'd like to get him on here tonight as soon as he gets back from eating, and kind of let us know his thoughts on being a recording engineer and what it's like to be behind a big board in a stadium with thousands of people going, wow. I can't imagine that, man. I've been to those concerts where it's packed and the people are just really, really into the musicians. But I was one of the guys that would always sneak on around and walk on around, especially if it was kind of open where, you didn't have to stay in your seat. Those Texas jams and whatnot, people would just meander everywhere. And so I was one of those guys that would go get a beer or whatever and kind of ease on over there and kind of ease as close as I could to the sound guy and see what all gear they were actually running and what was behind there, and seeing what kind of preamps, if there was any external preamps that they were running the singer through, or compressors or anything like that. So I was one of those guys that I always like to check out and see if I could get as close as I could and do that. But that was tons of fun. But yeah, those live concerts, a lot of people are really, really waiting to get back and start feeling like they can get out there and start doing live shows again. And I think of all the people that were just recently signed to a label before COVID hit. And I want to say they cracked down on all that stuff last March. So, I, excuse me, I think of all those people that were signed to go tour who hasn't even been out there and toured one day, man. Imagine what they're feeling right now as to not knowing what they're going to be doing, the uncertainty of things, because that's how a lot of them artists make their money, is they'll make an album, and they'll create an album, they'll put it out there, they'll have a number one song or whatever playing on the radio, and they'll get out there and promote it, and they'll actually tour around from city to city and go and promote their music, man, to get some sales. And so I think of all those artists, man, that, what are they thinking? What's going on in their mind? Are we going to be able to ever get back to reality again? And are they just going to come up with some type of shot or something like that to where everyone can take and then say, okay, well, if you've taken this shot, then you're good to go do whatever you need to go do? I don't know. I don't have the answer. But I do know that it would be nice for us to get back to what we all remember as normal, and so that we can all go back to work and start doing what we love, being around people, and not feeling like we're captive in our own homes. Because I know that solitude is not very good for your health. It's not good for your blood pressure or any of that other stuff, man. Solitude will definitely drive you insane if you don't have other people to converse with and interact with in a way that you can actually, in a touchable way. I mean, it's one thing to get on here and to talk through a microphone and to interact with people around the world, but it's another thing when they're sitting in the same room as you and you can enjoy their company and laugh together and eat together and have some drinks together or whatever you enjoy doing. And so that's very, very imperative for for humanity to interact with other people and to have that type of togetherness. And so there's my friend Dennis. There's my friend. What's a going on, man? Look, hey, man, look, hey, we got the same shirt. What happened? Yeah, man. Hey, man. Awesome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Perfect, man. Perfect. Yeah, I was running late tonight too, man. So whenever I got your text, I was like, that's totally cool.
I was making dinner and I ran out of something I needed, so I had to, go out to the store again.
Right. Well, that's cool. That's all cool, man. Tonight I was talking about, man, what it's like. Oh, Dennis, man, and some of my subscribers, we were talking earlier.
Mhm.
What is it like actually running sound for? I mean, I don't know, how many people have you actually ran sound for at one time in one stadium?
In one place and on the same day?
Yeah, on the same day, like,
Oh man.
10,000, 5,000. I mean, I don't even.
The crowd size.
Yeah.
I would say it was a couple of years ago, 67,000.
Wow.
Yeah, there was an EDM festival called Moonrise in Baltimore.
Wow.
And it's not super exciting unless you're really into that type of music, but it's exciting from, I mean, for us, from the technical aspect, because we have all these different mandates regarding not just the quality, but the fact that there were 4 different stages running simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
If they all spill onto each other, it kind of creates a little bit of distraction, and the user experience is not as big. These people are paying, like for a whole 4-day package. Some people are paying, upwards of $2-3 grand, for some of the really big VIP packages.
Wow.
They want to make sure that not only that, but then also that all that sound isn't spilling out into the neighbors, all the neighborhoods around, because we're setting up on a big racetrack. It's called the Pimlico horse racetrack down there in Baltimore.
Okay.
And, it's obviously all these people don't want all this thump all day long until after, 11 o'clock at night. So the PA that we use is made by a company out of England called Martin. And it's so advanced, you can virtually say where the sound will stop, and it does that.
Wow, really?
I want the sound to stop at 350 feet from the stage. It'll do that.
That's amazing, man. I did not know that.
You walk a foot beyond it, beyond the range, and you'll hear some kind of mumble stuff, but it's not clear. As soon as you walk into that range, you hear perfectly clear.
That is amazing, man. I've never heard that before.
And
That's
same for the sound radiating from the rear of the PA. It's engineered so that there isn't spillage going backwards.
Yeah.
Or it minimizes, obviously, because there is always some.
Wow.
With that said, you have 40,000-70,000 people running around half messed up on whatever they choose for that day. And the volume is pretty intense, and we had to kind of, because this would be the 6th year, this will be my 7th year doing that festival. But over the years, we try to figure out a way to protect our own hearing.
Yeah.
Because just foam wasn't enough.
Really? Wow.
Or just wearing your in-ears all day long wasn't enough.
Oh, wow.
So
wow.
We were trying different things. I tried, foam with swimmer's wax, with like shooter's muffs all over the place, but different limited amounts of success.
Yeah.
But it's never enough. Put it that way.
Wow.
It's that loud.
It's that loud. What decibel are y'all actually hitting at, man? What are y'all rocking and rolling at?
Well, there's also that you cannot go above a certain level, because you can actually hurt people.
Right.
I think we were going just around 98, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is, for something like that at front of house, was pretty conservative.
Yeah.
But it's still
it'll
hurt you if you stay there all day long without any protection.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Especially if you're right up there near the speakers and whatever, man. You're really catching the load of that,
Well, for that festival, I mix monitors, which means I'm underneath the stage.
Okay.
They build this giant structure, and underneath it all is my control area, where we have all the amplifiers and all the processing equipment that we have, and I set up aside a little area where I, set up my mix area.
Yeah, nice. So you're kind of
in terms of what I do for the show, it's really not that complicated, because all I'm doing is just one monitor mix for the DJs.
Okay. Okay.
And it's not really that demanding in terms of the amount of work. What is demanding is that each act, in that we had 12 or so every day.
Yeah.
Every 45 minutes. The changeovers can be demanding. And then from act to act, they all, depending on how popular they are, they have different demands on their technical writer. If you guys don't know what a technical writer is when you're, a traveling show, you forward or you send a document down to every venue that you go to saying, okay, we want from this champagne to, we need the stage to be this big. We need outlets here. We need a fan over here, all that sort of thing. And, all that is specified in there that those things need to be there for you. And so, like I said, the bigger the act, the larger the demands, even though they're just DJs. So you have to kind of be prepared for all those things.
Yeah.
Looking
Wow.
ahead. And,
Wow.
and not to say that things will not change.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So
prepare for all that.
yeah. So typically, how long would it take you guys or the crew to set up if they're setting up?
That particular festival, it takes us 3 days to get ready for show. For 3 days of festival. And even then, we just have to basically continue getting ready for, say, if the weather changes and we have to, pack everything. I mean, not pack everything. We have to basically cover everything in a matter of basically the amount of time that they give us to shut down the show.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is these days is if it's roughly 15 minutes away. If you start seeing lightning 15 minutes away, that's when they give the audience a warning, and they start taking people out of the venue or putting them, for instance, at last year, they put them in the stands.
Wow, man. Wow.
The
So,
stands were, with the roof, and they had glass on them, so they were kind of safe and whatever.
yeah. Yeah. So when you say EDM, who actually were some of the groups that actually came out there?
Well, Tiesto was one of the big DJs that came out. What was the other guy? One of the big a bunch of European guys came out. That Marshmallow guy came out.
Yeah.
With the where's that weird marshmallow looking head thing?
Yeah.
They were, pretty well attended shows, and
yeah.
people really knew who these folks were.
Wow. So, wow. Yeah, man.
Almost, to us working backstage almost makes really no difference.
Yeah. Right. Right.
It's people like everybody else.
So you would actually mix the sound, and then you would send that to the DJ guy, and he would actually.
Well, what happens is the DJ, we set up 2 stations for DJ, actually 3 inputs, enough inputs for 3 stations of dual DJ turntables. So in essence, 3 DJs could be playing at the same time.
Oh wow!
But that's not it. We usually just one, obviously, but we want to keep it rotating quickly so that turnovers happen as quickly as possible. So we have just redundant setups.
Yeah.
And so they all can be, changed over extremely quickly.
Yeah.
By the time, literally 2 seconds after the guy one finishes, we just introduce the next one and he goes on.
Oh wow!
And
wow.
we still have 2 spare setups if anything were to happen. Some people bring in guests. That's why we have an extra setup. So that all that stuff goes into a stage box, just like you would on a stage. The stage box has a splitter. The splitter one end comes to me and Monitor World, and the other end goes to front of house. Brings the same signals to both places at the same time, without any degradation. So we're not fighting any kind of, front of house has his own gain, and I have my own gain.
Perfect.
And that comes to me at my Monitor World and my console. I just split what I need to do. I get the guy if he needs, we have, I set up for that show. I set up 8 wireless microphones, handheld microphones, just to have enough for everybody. I also set up a number of in-ear monitors, which usually don't get really used, but they're there if you need them. And that sort of thing. And then the rest is just talking to the DJ once they we have a sound check. They do their test. For instance, the guy Tiesto didn't have himself come in. He had his engineer come in and made sure that we set up all the stuff according to their specs and that everything sounded cool. And we all went to dinner. They paid. It was great.
Wow. Wow. And so how does it, like, if you get thirsty back there, man? Because I know it could get hot or whatever. I mean, you
set up your little world, and in that type of environment, festival, there is kind of like a little city set up in the back there. We have, in ourselves, I'll have a cooler with with stuff to eat, and if I needed to, go to the restroom or I'm just really hungry, there's other guys that can come and relieve us for a few minutes. Mixing a DJ is not necessarily like you have to be there the whole time. Like, oh, what's he gonna do now? You're just gonna like set it and forget it. They're just fucking doing this all night
long. Right. Because once it's good, it's good. I mean, you shouldn't have any problems, right?
But in contrast to that, when I say mixed monitors for say the Fab Four, I don't know if you heard of those guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
You should.
It's a bunch of the guys from the Tonight Show, not the Tonight Show, sorry, the David Letterman show, and those guys do Beatles songs. That's all they do. And not only that, it's 5 of them. They're all very good, but let's say they don't just play one instrument. Each of them has at least 3 instruments that they all play. Not all of them have in-ears, but they all have wedges. On top of that, they move from song to song. They move around. So the mixes need to change.
Wow.
Because they also use different mics.
Yeah.
So all that stuff is always swinging around. So it's a lot more involved in terms of how much you need to be on top of things.
Yeah. Yeah. So they might switch a guitar for a different tune.
They do.
Yeah.
And it depends on the record that they're playing, because all they do is play Beatles records, and they play them as close as possible as they can. One guy could be playing half the song, a guitar, and then keyboards, and then back to a different electric guitar, and then maybe do a thing with his palms or something.
Yeah.
So it's a show for sure.
Wow. Like, do you remember some of the tunes that they actually performed?
Any of the Beatles songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they sound exactly the same.
Oh man.
So yeah, hopefully we'll get back out there, and come out and see us, because it's a really good show.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
All those guys is it's one of the few shows where I actually feel like, singing the songs when I'm mixing.
Right. Because it sounds that good. It's hard not to.
They do it really well.
Wow. Do you think anytime soon, Dennis, that they're gonna? I mean, what's your thoughts on all that, man? It's sure.
Well, conservatively speaking, at least the guys that I know that do what I do at a much higher level than I do are not looking anything before at least a year.
Yeah.
All the big stadium tours, the Tom Petty's, the Paul Simons, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Not for a while. You still, everybody's sure, the venues want to open, and they can open all day long. But it comes down to lawyers and people doing insurance.
Yeah. Lawsuits and all kind of other crap.
And nobody wants that.
No.
Insurance premiums just go right up the roof, and makes, really no one making any money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It's not going to really be anything back to normal, so to speak, unless, we start bleaching everybody every day or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, they might have to come up to something. I don't know what they're going to
like start bathing in bleach. Make sure that everybody does it once a day for a month.
Right.
Good work. I'm sure it's better than injecting it.
Yeah, I mean, you never know, man. I mean, you never know, right? So, hey, I wanted to ask you, Dennis, who was probably one of the funnest concerts that you actually just, felt on top of things, enjoyed everything about the whole concert? I mean, does anything come to mind?
Pretty much, obviously coming through it, you have, lots of growing pains, but, you don't come through, you don't last this long if you don't, become at least adept at doing what you're doing with some kind of level of comfort.
Right.
That said, I've enjoyed, everything I've done.
Everything. Yeah.
I mean, I remember one time though, my very second, it was the same tour, but it was the second year that I did have a really shitty time. I remember that it was a VH1 tour when VH1 was still doing stuff. And the second year, we were still having a lot of the gear that we had was sponsored. It was given to us by sponsored. Like the mixing consoles were given to us by Mackie. Crest. They were really good. The monitors, all the speakers were kind of like a budget series from EAW. They were okay. Then we had all this PreSonus EQs and compressors and stuff that got me into a lot of trouble. I patched everything, and everything sounded horrible.
Oh, wow.
It was really bad. Yeah, I like just kind of like stayed kind of like very against
Yeah.
restoners for a long time after that.
Yeah. Was it so? Yeah. It was just, because you
Well,
just
it
wasn't
wasn't just
accustomed.
that. It was a perfect storm and a lot of weird stuff that happened. We had a weather. We had really terrible weather, and I remember coming back from the hotel and our whole stage box was just flooded. We had to like,
It was
you know,
bad.
do a lot of things really quickly. But at the end of the day, the show happened and everything was cool.
Yeah.
But it was again, it was some days are better than others, and you just try to not have those at all.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. So it takes.
But for the most part, everything's really cool. And again, that's what you want in your client. If you're not having a good day, your client's not going to have a good day. And if they don't have a good day, it's not going to sound good.
Right.
And you'll get an email or you won't get a call back again.
Wow. Well, fortunately, none of that ever happened with you, and you were able to hold down the fort just fine
Yeah,
and
see,
continue on.
that's the cool thing with me. A lot of times, at least actually most of the time, I'm just a one-off engineer.
Mm-hmm.
In this area, especially in New York, you end up doing you fill in for people, for X, Y, or Z reason. That's how it works out here. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I have worked for a lot of stuff that you would have never thought.
Yeah.
You know?
Do
But
you,
doing corporate shows, that's how it happens. A lot of people come in to do, they'll get $80,000 to come in and do one song. So yeah, one day I'm like, oh Dennis, tonight you're mixing Lou Rawls and Stevie Wonder. Okay,
right.
that's how it happens.
Nice, nice. So let me ask you, some of the smaller venues, do you enjoy mixing in some of the smaller venues? I mean, enclosed.
I didn't have to do a lot of club mixing.
Okay.
I never had the need, though. I did. Funny enough, I got to play when I was in college at CBGB's, and then a few years later, I got to go back and mix a few shows for somebody there.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't the best, obviously. I mean, at CBGB's, obviously, but in the punk club thing,
Yeah.
a block north was this other place called Continental, and that was a cooler sounded room.
Really? Was it just
And
because of the room? It had a lot to do with it, or
they
just?
were all about the same size. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe it was cleaner. I don't know. Who knows?
right,
But
right. It just the
but
sound was just
it
it
just
sound.
sound. I mean, the things that I mixed the same band in both clubs. So I was like, okay, this sounds better here. you know.
Right, right, right. Sometimes I often wonder about that because once the people start feeling in, you guys, I'm sure did a sound check and all that other stuff, correct? Before,
Mm-hmm.
so you get your sound check going on and all that's cool. Everything's hunky dory.
Yeah.
And then the people start filling in, right? The people start coming in and the sound probably changes a little bit, a little bit, right? I mean,
In those places, it doesn't change a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it really starts changing when you have higher ceilings and things like that.
Yeah.
And if you have, if it's when it starts being in 200, 300 type of seat capacity type of place, so it's purposely built, you start really noticing then.
Right, right.
There's a theater near us over here that's actually pretty old. It's from the turn of the last century, and it's all wood. And that place is really cool. I love that place.
So I was checking out your page, man, and you were in this one place, man. It was high round ceilings in there, man.
That's one of the places in Lincoln Center, I think.
Oh my gosh, dude.
That's is it that Avery? No, it's not Avery Fisher. I forget the name of that building because they have 3 different buildings inside Lincoln Center, and each one of the buildings has 2 or 3 theaters within it. That's one of the older ones.
Wow.
And the whole time, let's see, I've done maybe a total of maybe 6 events there throughout my whole time here in New York City.
Wow. I bet you that place sounds amazing.
It
in that
depends on what you're
room.
doing there, because I've
Yeah.
done. Well, let's see. I did a thing for that classical music that I told you for one of the Koch brothers.
Yeah.
Was there. It was a memorial for the one that passed away.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I'll send you those multi-tracks. That sounds really cool in there. And they have Shep's mics in that house.
Oh, nice.
It's a union place, so they all have to do. They do that stuff. I literally I open my driver opens the truck and they take everything out. I'm not, the only thing I'm allowed to do is like to connect the stuff and then to drive my stuff.
That's nice, though, right?
Yeah. I was like, I was like, yeah, is it okay to ask what kind of microphones you guys have? You know, because they're so secret about everything.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, I'm not supposed to tell you, but they're Sheps. I was like, well, they do sound good, so I'll give them that.
Wow. Yeah, they want everything. They want to keep all that to themselves for some reason, right? I mean, I guess.
Well, the thing is that all those buildings all host different philharmonic orchestras. And they all have their own sound guys, and obviously they want them to sound really good. And, you know, Sheps and that sort of mic are the very best for that sort of thing.
Yeah. Wow.
It was all, he said the cheapest mic was 47 FET.
Wow.
That was their cheapest stuff.
That's crazy, man.
He said that they did have some 103s, but they use them kind of like 57s, that of thing.
Yeah. Wow. So, what about orchestras? You ever did anything like that? Actually,
time I did that, and a few other times, mostly for corporate stuff. And it was all, you know, orchestra from Lincoln's. Yeah, it was all the orchestra from Lincoln Center, New York City. What's it called? New York Philharmonic.
Yeah,
and the Lincoln Center something or other. Other than that, it's been basically, you know, all those people work in different orchestras a lot of times, and you get to see them. And, you know, sometimes you see a small quartet, and you've seen those people in part of a larger orchestra a lot of times.
Yeah, man.
So you run into a lot of musicians that way.
You know, I appreciate a lot of music, pretty much all music, and but boy, I tell you what, man, I like the rock and roll, but I don't mind sitting in there and watching a freaking orchestra just hammer down on some great stuff, man.
Well, when they do what they do right, it doesn't matter, I think, what they're doing. This one time, I'll send you this audio too. There's an orchestra in the county where I am, which is just north of Manhattan, and a lot of the people that obviously play in a lot of orchestras live in the suburbs too. And when they're not touring with like Tony Bennett or all those big band acts, they get together with other acts, you know, smaller stuff. And this one time I do sound every once in a while for this orchestra called the Westchester Jazz Orchestra. I'm in Westchester County. And it's, you know, all these guys from like the Tony Bennett Orchestra, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're all amazing. And this one night, they're all playing Dave Brubeck songs with Dave Brubeck conducting.
Wow.
And
what? Wow.
And I recorded it. It was awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I got brought in. They were making a recording outside of that. You know, they had a crew of guys that actually knew them. And they had only brought me in to mix in the piano into the house. That's it.
Wow.
Only the piano.
Wow.
And so I'm up there and I'm in the top of the theater, and they have this little tiny Midas console. So right off the bat, it sounds okay. You know, it sounds better than anything else. And I'm like, I'm mixing this stuff. And my gig that night was simple, obviously. I just had to mix it loud enough that it didn't sound unnatural on the other recording. Or in the house, you know, for the audience. And so I had nothing else to do. And in the middle of the show, I'm like, wait a second, I'm seeing all these other lights lighting up, you know, giving me level. And I'm like, I don't have any other mics over here. And I noticed that they still have that theater, you know, they do plays, and they still had all their choir mics hanging on top of the stage.
Oh, wow. And it was feeding to you.
They had like 8 microphones. You know, they weren't, you know, amazing or anything, AKG hanging mics or whatever.
Right.
But I made this really cool recording.
Oh,
and those days I used to carry a mini disc, a Walkman mini disc recorder.
Okay.
Remember the mini disc?
I do.
And it was actually Mick gave me that, because he used to kind of have all these gadgets and stuff, and he was like, "Oh, here, take that, use it." So that was my 2-track for many years, and I had my cables and stuff. I just patched in real quick, and I just started dialing in and just doing mix minus out of 2 buses. And I'll send you some of those files.
Man,
really, really cool.
That little recorder that you have actually sounds bad to the bone, man.
It
I had a
does.
friend of mine that had that same one, and I was like, man, that thing really sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
So you just ran right and left in there, and you got a stereo mix of
I did it in
the mix.
stereo, yeah, just as many songs, during the rehearsal. I was like, oh, I can get this recorded, and I got the whole show. It sounds really nice.
Wow, wow.
It's very drum heavy because the drummer is like immediately was right above the mics, right underneath the mics, and then you hear the some of the horns really well, and the bass and everything. But in those days I was already doing a pretty decent job mastering, so I think that's why I was able to make a good job out of it.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Dennis. What actually did you do first? Did you run sound first, or did you work for Mick Guzauski first? I mean, how did all the work?
I was running sound long before I met Mick.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but if you had taken me aside when back when I had an opportunity to go to school and said, hey, what do you feel about live sound, I would have been like, not for me.
Really?
But it became a necessity thing, and that was what was available.
Yeah, yeah.
And it wasn't that bad once I tried it. It was just kind of like, sure, it's an acquired taste for some people, but it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And one day it led to meeting Mick, and it was
No.
from Live Sound. It's just somebody that I had worked with in Oregon when I lived in Oregon that had worked with Mick before, and then he knew that I was around New York City, and somehow Mick called him back and he asked him if he knew somebody around here that he could call as a second assistant. And that's how he hooked us up. And I got an email from Sam, and he said, hey man, this guy's I think he lives near you, and we're looking for a second guy. Should try to give him a call. He likes scotch. So.
There you go, man. There you go. So
like, sure.
Yeah, that's easy. So let me ask you, man, when you went in the studio with Mick and you're sitting down behind that big board, how did that feel the first day? Were you a little nervous or everything, or you were relaxed, or I mean?
Well, we hit it off really well from the time we spoke on the phone.
Okay.
And then it was almost very comfortable from the time I first came into the studio, because immediately as I turned into the control room, he has these monitors, the tannoys right there.
Oh, nice. Yes.
That's what he was mixing on exclusively back then. And I said, this is what you use? And he goes like, yeah. And I go like, and he goes, why? Yeah. And I said, because my dad had like 8 pairs of those at home growing up. And
wow.
He goes, does he still have them? I was like, well, no, that was a long time ago, when I was a kid.
Right.
But, we immediately just really bonded, and we just had a really good time right off the bat. And, almost immediately he invited me to come back and keep working there.
Man, that's great.
That was, I would say, July or something of 2001.
Okay.
And then I stayed with him until 2014 or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So y'all worked
going back and forth. That was this one of 2 guys that was assisting, so I didn't necessarily have to be there all the time, which was convenient because he wasn't exactly paying me a ton of money. I'm still an assistant, so that was a big chance that I took, but it paid off in terms, obviously, of the experience that I gained.
Yeah.
But I was still doing my live sound and earning no problem. So you can say that it was kind of a risk, but I think it paid off ultimately.
Well, yeah, man. So that didn't interfere working with him. I mean, you were still able to do your live sound and then still go over there to the studio. Everything worked out smooth, huh?
Yeah, it was fine because I was still in touch with the guys I would call. If I was out, I would still call Tom, who was the other assistant, and make sure that we both had everything covered. If Tom didn't want to be there the next time I was be there, we'd just make sure that we knew what needed to be done.
Yeah.
And, make sure just as long as Mick was able to sit down and do his mix and has his tequila at the end of the night, he was happy, and everybody was rolling around.
It was great. Yeah. So
great.
Who was the first guy who was the first artist when you went in the studio with Mick? Who was your first artist that he was mixing, man? Who was the first? Eric Clapton.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was pretty. That was a little intimidating. Not only because the equipment was already intimidating. You know, I'd never had expected to come across a Sony Oxford console. I had seen pretty much every large scale live console out there with very experienced people and very high range of act. In fact, a lot of people that Mick was mixing, I had already worked for. So that part was cool. But then, you know, seeing and coming to terms with what I was going to be dealing at that point was, you know, you have to kind of get over it very quickly and just kind of like chill and be cool.
Right, right.
And
So,
during that project was called One More Car, One More Rider. I think you find it on Spotify, but it has a video part of it too. It was a DVD.
okay.
And that was cool because not only it was, you know, completely different to the way things are done in the studio now, but we were syncing digital multi-track machines to, they would send us dual, you know, very big video decks that they would rent, and we would get them, set them up, all synced up to, you know, every doohickey in the book, and sync to screen, and he's mixing to screen, you know, and that was the first project that I worked on.
Wow. I bet you that might have been a little bit overwhelming, huh? I mean, you know,
Well,
seeing all the
it just sounds so cool that it didn't matter.
right.
That's the thing, though. It's you know, a lot of people get into the mindset that when they go to the studio, it's just going to be this repetitive bullshit. It
Mhm.
just depends a little bit, because if you go into, at least in this circumstance, I didn't mind one fucking bit to hear that song 30
Again,
times.
right,
Please go right ahead. I want to hear Layla again for the 40th time. I don't care.
right,
Because it's not a cover. It's that dude, you know?
right.
And so, okay,
That's
sure,
awesome.
it's a privileged place to be. A lot of people don't get to that point, but in my experience, it didn't suck.
Oh, heck no, man. I can't imagine.
I was like, play that again. And the thing is that, and the thing is that Mick was so cool about it too. He, you know, a lot of people are like, kind of like, oh man, don't come listen to my mix, or, you know, or bother me again or whatever. But Mick
Right.
was totally cool. But also it depends on, you know, who you are and how you know how to talk to somebody, because I could go in there and be like, hey Mick, solo that thing again. That's not really cool. And he'd be like, oh, what? And he would stop and listen to it, and we'd talk about it. And he, a couple of times, he changed something because of something I said.
Oh,
You know?
wow. Nice. Yeah, you heard something that yeah,
Well,
he
it
was
came,
working in another area.
well, he came to let me know, because Tom already knew. One of the things that he required us to do as assistants is also to let him know certain things, because he's like, he was frank about it. It's like, listen, I'm not young anymore. Certain things I can't hear, and I
Mhm.
only go by metering. But
Mhm.
some stuff is, you know, needs to be obviously a certain aesthetic sonically. So I need you guys to also let me know when something just doesn't quite hit the mark.
Right.
And
Right.
he expected us to know what that mark was.
Yeah. Wow, man. So the second artist y'all worked on, who was the second? So Eric was
Oh,
the
it was
first.
probably Talia or somebody like that. I mean,
Okay.
in those days he was still doing a lot of big pop acts.
Yeah.
I think we did some Britney Spears stuff.
I was gonna bring that up. Did y'all do any Britney Spears?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did a lot of
Well,
Britney Spears. We did some Nick Carter.
yeah, I
Uh,
remember him. Yeah.
we did do some, uh, you know, a lot of those Backstreet guys try to do solo
Backstreet
stuff.
Boys. Yeah.
They
People
tried to
like.
do solo stuff, and they came back, you know, for Mick, and Mick did all those type of records for those guys.
Oh
So they
wow.
still trust him for that sound, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Um,
pop sound.
but
Yeah.
again, those were the end of the very, very nice budget if you knew what you were doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And he did obviously. I mean, the stuff that he put out there is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um.
Yeah,
Wow,
so
man.
pretty much everything you hear from from him from about let's see, I would say 1998 until 2013 was done on that console at his place in Barking Doctor.
Oh man, the sound is amazing, man. So, do you think he misses that board? I mean, because I mean, an engineer at
He
that
does.
level,
He does. We talk
he
about
does.
it.
Yeah.
He liked the way that you moved around it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The way that they made the ergonomics work on it really worked for him. He worked extremely quickly on it,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very musical in terms of how you mixed.
Yeah. Wow. I can only imagine.
A lot of the newer stuff was based on it. The people from now Avid came to the studio to ask questions for about a week.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So, what does he mix on now? Do you know? I mean, I
Well,
don't know.
he has the Avid at his house. He's got the Avid thing.
Yeah.
The S6L SL6.
SL6.
The live version has got the letters all in reversed.
Yeah. So does he do? I guess he does do a lot of work at the house in these times that we're in right now, right? I mean, I don't
Well,
guess.
he works quite a bit. I would say 80% of the stuff he does as his own.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
if the project allow for it, he goes out there. Like all the Daft Punk stuff he did, obviously at Capitol or at Conway.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at some of those pictures of you guys hanging out, chilling, just having a good time, man. He looks really tall, man.
He is a very tall guy.
How tall is he? 6'2"?
He's like 6'6" or something like that.
Oh my gosh, man. Wow. Yeah, I was looking at the picture. I said, well, if Dennis is this tall, then he might be this tall. Yeah, I was trying to guess as to how tall he was, man.
Makes a tall dude.
Wow. Does he still have his boat? That boat that y'all
Oh no, man. That thing, the last hurricane that was here, the marina was, a little, under the weather, and he was able to get rid of it. I think the insurance took care of it, and he didn't lose anything, so that was good.
Oh wow.
And he was a little bit over the whole boating thing. He enjoys boating, but I think the whole upkeep and becoming
too much.
You have to kind of it has to be a lifestyle thing,
right?
And he wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For a while, he would pay me to go there and maintain, do stuff with the boat, which I don't mind. I'll go to the marina, hang out, and make my day rate, no problem.
Right. But it is a lot of work. I mean, you got to wash the deck down. You got to keep it clean. Woo.
Yeah, and that again, after a while, he was like, "Hey, Dennis, I'll give you your rate. Go down to the boat and clean it up." I was like, "Sure, I'll go there."
Hey, look, around those marinas, not to change the subject too far off, but man, there's fish, tons of fish around those docks and whatever.
Well, his marina was in a town called Ossining on the Hudson River. And the cool thing about Ossining is that it's right next to Sing Sing prison.
Oh, wow.
It was the funkiest thing ever.
Wow.
It was the cheapest marina he could find closest to his house.
Oh, wow.
It's literally, you go there, it's like, man, people get killed here. But it was awesome, man. It was so cool. I remember we would go out. He had a barbecue, a gas barbecue grill installed in the back of the boat.
Oh, wow.
And we would go and just anchor right outside of Sing Sing prison and do,
start cooking
hot dogs or whatever out there. It was great. We would go down to the city and go around and stuff. We brought a lot of producers down there.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I was checking out those pictures, man. It just looked beautiful, man. The waterway didn't look that wide. What is it? The Erie Canal? Is that what it was?
The Erie Canal was not very wide, at least not the canal part. But it would go into a couple different lakes, and a lot of them were pretty big. I was like, man, where is this place?
Oh wow,
ridiculous how big some of the places were.
Wow, yeah, that waterway, that picture, it didn't. I mean, what, maybe 50 yards at most?
Yeah, it's tiny in most places, especially where there's the long stretches are really small. You're not allowed to go big, faster than wake speed. So it makes it really, enjoyable.
Yeah,
if you're not in a hurry.
Yeah. So who is Mick actually mixing for now? Does you know if he's
Right
doing any?
now, I didn't ask him the other day, but he's also just finished to moving to Las Vegas, so he's just kind of like settling in or whatever.
Yeah.
But we didn't get to talking about who he was talking, mixing right now, but I'm probably going to talk to him again in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Because he's finishing a couple of projects and he wanted me to build something for him.
Oh
So that
wow.
should be pretty exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, you need to go see him and just hang out with him, man. I mean, I
Well,
don't know what your schedule's like,
he
but
had started designing a mic preamp, and he said that he had a kind of prototype idea ready, and he had sent me some of the parts, but he wanted to talk to me before because a couple of things he wanted to see, like whether I'd like this or that, and so
Mhm.
we haven't finalized that version, but I think it should be really cool
Oh yeah, you know it, man.
if it.
Yeah.
If it's
Oh
anything,
man.
if it's anything like his speakers, I'm sure it's going to be just fine.
Well, hey, look, a lot of those preamps, man, I don't know what it is, but I sure like a lot of gain on them, man. I like at least having the ability to go up to 70 dB of
Well,
gain or
clean
whatever.
gain because a lot of stuff gives you gain, but then you start gaining shit up, and the microphone just starts really not sounding good.
Right.
You know.
Right. Right. Yeah, you start hearing everything. And yeah, there's a certain level actually to actually start at or at least attempt to start at. But I was thinking about that the other night. I was thinking about you and Mick, and I was thinking about the relationship that y'all developed along the way, all the things that he mentored to you
Mm-hmm.
about, because I'm sure, stepping into someone's world like that, when you're accustomed to, being out doing live sound, it's
Mm-hmm.
a completely different thing. Live sound and actually being in one room behind a big board and whatnot. And so I'm sure you're sitting here and he's, going through all the, what he does and how he actually does things
Mm-hmm.
in a certain order that I'm sure he does things in. And and I'm thinking of you and I'm thinking, what are you thinking? You know?
Well, learning a lot of the things
Like,
that I saw were just reaffirmations of on how I thought things would be done. It's
mhm,
like, oh, okay, so he does do it that way.
okay.
I'd be seeing things, before you know what he actually doing, because obviously, first he expects you to come in and do the work and do all the system stuff, and then start learning the equipment little by little. And obviously, it's not easy to learn a Sony Oxford right away.
Mhm,
However, it was designed in such a manner that at least knowing how things were accessed to mix in the console was very easy to understand.
mhm,
You have a section of all the things that you can do to a channel, and then you have routing, and then you have the channels,
mhm,
and then you have a place where you enter any kind of numerical data, such as cue points and things like that. And that's the basics of it. Obviously, you have places where you can access automation and things of that nature. But in terms of mixing, it wasn't very difficult. Once things were laid out, um, basically you select what is going to feed your inputs and from where. Say Pro Tools or a tape machine, and that was very simple. You in the console had a menu, so it said, okay, inputs, you selected a range from 1 to 128, gets inputs from this machine, go, and there they are, boom. Once they're on the console, it's just like an analog console. From there, you go up to the top. There were a little like a switching matrix, like you would imagine, like on an SSL console. It had all those tiny buttons,
mhm,
very similar on the SSL. On the Sony Oxford, you select your buses and your machine, and you go to town. Very simple. Everything starts appearing the way that you want it to be. Then from there, you would, as you bring a channel up, you either send it to a bus, you bus things, and or it worked just like you would expect an analog console,
mhm.
within reason.
And so was a lot of the material formatted on tape that y'all worked off of, or was it
Back
in the
then,
computer?
when I started going there, like I said, we were getting 30 digital multi-track reels. There are 32 channel digital multi-tracks. They're quarter inch.
Yeah, quarter-inch tape.
And yeah, we would get usually it would be 2 reels and 2 safeties.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just load them up. That's what the first thing we would do. Load up the tapes, and then we would, if it was a new mix, obviously you just reset everything the way that Mick would like to start a mix. The tracks go where they need to go. He likes the buses set up a specific way. You also would do a cue sheet, a cue sheet. Sorry, a cue pass, which means that we would play the song from beginning to end, and we would drop location points for the Oxford to know where, if you wanted to start at verse 1, you just enter verse 1 and it goes there. Rewinding the machines at the same time, and there it goes. And that was cool because I remember now, it's funny, rewinding the machines to go.
Yeah.
It wasn't automatic.
Right.
You still had to wait for the thing to spin. Yeah. And then these were fast, but I still have an empty reel. It's funny. Here, check it out.
Yeah, man. Oh wow. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Nice, man. Let me see it from the side. Oh yeah, man. Nice. That's quarter-inch or half-inch?
Yeah, you're right. It's half-inch.
Half-inch tape. Nice. Oh my gosh, man. Dude, that is the deal.
Aluminum. Yeah. You can hurt somebody with this thing.
Yeah, definitely. You know what, man?
You could probably use it as a tire.
You know what, man? There's a bunch. I've been seeing a bunch of reel-to-reel machines floating around for sale, man.
Yeah.
People are getting rid of their freaking reel-to-reels.
Yeah, but it's a big expense. I thought about it too.
I know.
I mean, if money wasn't really a huge issue, I would. But again, there's still, it's something that would be hard to really sell people on, especially now that money's tight.
I know. What would be nice? What would be fun though? Do everything in the computer, and then when you get ready to dump down, master down to
have a nice half-inch deck or something, or even I wouldn't mind having 8-channel 2-inch machine.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
16-channel machine wouldn't hurt.
Oh man,
Just
it.
You can stem. You can master stems to it basically.
Mm-hmm. Man,
you do your drums, your bass, the guitars, and everything. Keep them that way.
Wow. Yeah, and there's a bunch of machines floating around, some Studers. I don't know, man. I was just seemed like
there's that class machine that I told you too.
I checked it out. And I found it, man. Oh, and it is, you know what? It's just as expensive as that interface.
Right, but in the long run, you're not running the whole thing with losing generations from tapes and all that. You're just basically recording that character directly onto your hard disk.
Exactly. I'm surprised I never seen that or ran across that and anything.
It was because it was so expensive.
Yeah. Never seen that.
People that use it really swear by it.
Well,
they don't have the expense of they'll buy maybe 1/10 of their tape budget.
Yeah. And all the ins and outs on it, man. Oh wow. Yeah, man. That's amazing. I had no idea that they had something like that out there, man.
Yeah,
man.
That's been out for a while now too.
Man. That was cool, man. Thank you for sharing that with me, man. I actually, when we left each other, I actually got online and typed in class, and man, it came up, man. I was like, "What? Here it is, right here." And I was checking it out, man.
Mind blowing when you hear what they achieve with it.
Oh man, that's crazy, man. So, but you guys were using tape, and so
digital tape, and then from there it changed to we started getting CD recorded, like the burned CDs.
Okay. Yeah.
With Sound Designer 2 files.
Nice.
Remember those? That was
Yes.
the first Avid
Yeah.
format. And
Wow.
that was the first thing we got, because a lot of the stuff my old files are still SD2, which is funny.
Wow.
And um, let's see, and then from that, yeah, it stayed in see people just sending CDs for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then people started sending the drives. I remember when the drives started
Mm-hmm.
coming, the big the LaCs. I still have a ton of those.
Yeah. Wow.
And then it stayed being this drives just start getting either a little bit different or or smaller, but it was always like certain brands were always like the ones that were always the ones.
Mm-hmm.
Which the LaCie was the brand that everybody had for a long time, at least the projects that we were involved in.
Mm-hmm. Did y'all ever pull anything off of any Tascam DATs? They had they had the 38, I want to say they had the, was it the
We didn't
98?
use them to mix too, but they were used as a mastering format once. Actually, not as a mastering format. They were used as a master format.
A master format, yeah.
They were, instead of obviously the like the stereo machine, we
Yeah.
were recording onto that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the only one. We'd also be doing a safety copy onto
Does Elisa's
the
had one
master
out?
link. The master link.
Mm-hmm. The black one. Remember
Yeah,
that one?
I have one. Yeah,
Yes.
actually, it's modified. It uses has an SSD drive in it. Actually, not SSD. It has a mechanical drive. I
Okay.
forgot about that.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
has a ton of room in it.
Yes. And they sounded pretty good, man.
They do sound
You
good.
know? Then they came out with the Alesis XT, which was the silver one after they came out with the black face.
Oh, you're
The
talking
black
about eight. You're talking about ADAT though.
Exactly.
No, I'm talking about the Master Link. Master Link looked like a CD player.
Yeah.
And it had
Yeah.
its own CD24 format.
Right.
And that we were using as the backup master format on top of this other Rain machine that did bit splitting. It was a machine that you put in conjunction with D88s,
Okay.
and they would use, say, it had 8 channels.
Mm-hmm.
It would use it in pairs, but it would split the bits. So it would use 2 channels at a high resolution to record a certain portion of the audio digitally. It wasn't audio.
Oh wow. Wow.
I'll send you. It's harder to explain than it is if you read it from their own product page.
Yeah,
But
it seemed
it was brilliant, and we were doing that for a little while because that's what Bob Ludwig was asking us to do.
oh wow. It seems like, Dennis, I seen an article or whatever, Lou Reed actually was doing a project at his house or someone else's house, had all these 88s or 98s stacked, man, a whole huge rack full of them. Had all these different musicians come in and they were all playing their parts, and that's what they were tracking to.
Yeah, well, as far as the multi-track, they were great.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't really sound very good. They were great for location recording and things like that, and budgets were king for a long time, and that's what people used.
Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of. Mick had a bunch of those machines, but again, we used them just as a backup thing, and
Mm-hmm.
then during the time that we were using the Rain Pack Rat as a format
Mm-hmm.
for master. I used it a couple of times just to transfer some tapes, but they were all there. One of my duties was to format the 88 tapes,
Mm-hmm.
because in those, let's see, what were we doing? Yeah, it was
Yeah.
just because we were doing the pack rat tapes, and so
Mm-hmm.
we had to have them ready to
To
use.
yeah.
But we
Yeah.
always had at least 2 or 3 boxes of already formatted D88 tapes.
I wonder what Mick's studio looks like now. You think it looks?
The place,
Yeah,
I
you
think
think?
that property got bought and it was destroyed.
No. His place that he's moving to in
In
Vegas.
Vegas, it's just
Yeah.
like a very Vegas looking place. It's in one of those gated communities.
Okay. No, but
It,
I'm talking about the studio. I
the
wonder if he's.
studio, I haven't
Yeah.
seen pictures yet. I'm sure it's gonna be cool.
I bet it's gonna be
And
cool, man. I bet it's gonna be just really cool, man. Kind of more laid back, but got everything he needs in there to work.
yeah, I'm curious to find out if he got if he downsized or not, because he always kind of tends to shed gear here and there.
Yeah. Yeah. What he likes to try out new things, huh?
Well, we'll
New
see.
stuff.
They were just kind of fed up with Los Angeles, so they just kind of decided to go somewhere else where there's no fires or
Oh man, all the fires and stuff. You're more up to date with all that stuff. I mean, I kind of stay in my little shell over here, man. But what's the world like over there, man? Are those people, what's it like in
out
L.A.,
here.
man? No,
Well,
in L.A. I mean,
Los Angeles is just the Los Angeles. It's very strange. It's kind of like a Simpsons episode. I don't like it.
you don't like it.
I'd like to go work if I have to and get out.
Yeah. What about the people? What's the vibe off the
Like I said,
people?
it's like a Simpsons episode. You're like talking to somebody and you're like, are these people for real? Everything is just bigger, larger, weirder than life.
What do you mean? Like their thinking's just not down to earth?
Something like that. If you want
Like
to
they're
call
up here and you're here, right? I mean,
they're no, not even like that. It's just I don't know.
oh,
They believe their own hype about Los Angeles. I don't know. It's very difficult to explain.
yeah. See, I've never been, so I don't know. I don't know what
Yeah,
the
but
vibe is there. I don't.
you're gonna talk to people, you're gonna crack up because everybody really buys their own BS.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So they're not real.
basically, yeah.
Wow.
So yeah,
Well, I'm
In
not
LA,
missing out on anything.
take everything with a grain of salt, and you're gonna laugh. Put it that way.
Okay. What about where you're at, man? What about the people?
Well,
What's the
New York.
community like there?
Well, I'm just in the suburb of New York City. That's people with money, whatever. And, obviously, it's a little weird with the pandemic, but
But
the
everybody
pandemic
kind of
is just very suburby. I'm
are they
sure it's no
friendly?
different for that.
Are they friendly? I mean, is your neighbor?
Yeah,
Can you
most people
wave
are
at your
pretty friendly.
neighbor?
Yeah, people here are
Yeah.
pretty friendly. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Because here, I mean, you drive wherever, and you pretty much know all your neighbors here,
Well,
and people
here
kind of look people.
you wave at everybody, obviously, but
Well, yeah,
there's not a lot of room between everybody around here.
you're on top of one another.
Not totally, definitely not like the city. It's very nice and suburban here. There's sidewalks and you go around and you can walk to places and
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Skateboard or whatever you want to do. I mean, there's
Yeah.
room, there's cement and whatever you can.
Well, as soon as it warms up, because right now you want to go skateboarding anywhere.
Wow.
A little too cold.
Yeah, well, the temperature here, it was 70 yesterday, and now we're like 40 something or 50 degrees now. Man, I had to crank the air conditioner on last night, and I've got my heater on now.
No, it's probably around 30 something here.
Are you ready for summer, man?
Ready for spring? I'm ready. I want to go fishing.
I know. I do too, so bad, man.
Yeah, but here I can catch trout. I want to go trout fishing first, but sure, I can't wait to go to Florida too.
I know.
But I don't know that's going to be a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like Florida people are behaving. So.
Yeah.
But it's all right. I never really come across. I just go fishing. I don't care. I don't see them.
Dude, when you get in the water, you forget everything.
Yeah,
once you start,
I don't see anybody when I go fishing in Florida.
Yeah, but once you put your feet in the water, man, life changes, man.
Mm-hmm.
I never was a surfer, but I always wish I lived in a place where there was waves to surf because I would be a surfer.
Well, unfortunately, in Southwest Florida, the only time you could get waves was when there are either really big storms or a hurricane. The days before a hurricane, the days after the hurricane.
Mm-hmm. So the waves are small there at some parts?
Yeah, Southwest Florida is not, a surfing destination.
2 foot waves, 3 foot waves.
Yeah, the kids that surf would tell you differently, but sure.
Right. You got to go to somewhere like Hawaii. Hawaii's got some waves.
Hawaii, California has some stuff, but they also have sharks and stuff, and
Yeah.
Any chance of there being any kind of encounter with a shark is a big enough chance for me.
So they got the big great whites there, don't they?
In California.
Yeah.
But they've seen some in Hawaii as well. But again, that's not the biggest danger. It's shark. There's tiger sharks
and bull sharks,
like jellyfish. Anything.
Yeah, them bull sharks are aggressive, man.
I don't think they
Real
have those
aggressive.
as much out in Hawaii. They have tiger sharks more in Hawaii waters.
Here in our waters in the
Out
Gulf,
here, lots of bulls. Yeah, they have those out in Southwest Florida too, and they have really big hammerheads, really big ones.
Hey, and the hammerheads, they're nothing to mess around with, my friend.
Nope.
They're mean. They're mean too. They're aggressive sharks, man.
Yeah.
They will knock the heck out of you and then come back for more. I know, man. You know what? I've been hit by them in the water. I've never told you that, Dennis. But I've been they'll come up in there and hit you.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it feels like somebody just drilled you in the side of the leg with their fist.
Well, you're lucky it just hit you.
Yes.
I mean, the ones that I've seen in Florida they wouldn't hit anything. They'd just
bite. Yeah. Well, I've been hit by them, man. I've actually had a stringer full of my trout.
Mm-hmm.
Have one swim right by me. Went to pull up my stringer, and all my fish taxed.
I keep a stringer on me since I was by like 12 or 13 years old.
Well, when you're out in the water, man, you're tearing them up. What are you gonna do with them?
You leave.
Go back in.
You trail. You don't put it on you. You just let it drift.
Well, yeah. I have it was a 20-foot stringer. I mean, it's out there. It's floating behind me, but it freaked me out, man. Whenever that shark just swam right. I mean, just swam right by my legs, man.
Well, I mean, that happened to me, but it wasn't with a shark when I was really young. But it was I had the stringer, and then also I turned back, and there's this gigantic barracuda.
Oh yeah.
This is when I lived in Venezuela.
Wow.
And, ever since I don't do stringers anymore.
Yeah. Those are pretty. I was in Cozumel, man, and I actually seen one of those when I was snorkeling.
Mm-hmm.
Barracuda, man, it just come out of nowhere and went right in front of me. It was looking right at me.
Just sit there, they're just looking at you.
Yeah, staring right at me, man. I was like, "Oh my gosh, where in the heck did you come from?"
I remember I just took my knife, cut the stringer out, and it turned into a cloud.
Wow, I'm just mush.
Destroyed. Yeah.
Wow. So fishing, man, you got to do some fishing this summer.
Oh, I'm thinking maybe even this weekend if I can.
I seen that little creek you walked back down there, man. Totally cool.
It's about 25 minutes away from me.
Wow.
So I just gotta. Hopefully there won't be too many people, and I can. You don't really need to do much other than just walk along the edges and cast where you think it's a good place.
It looks real serene.
Yeah, that it is.
Once you get there, man, it looks like, oh man, you're just in that world of just bliss.
That it is. All you hear is the creek walking.
Yeah.
Water.
Wow, isn't that nice, man?
Mm-hmm.
So that's something to look forward to and get pumped up about, man. Is the fishing thing,
Absolutely.
And we got that to look forward to this summer, man. I'm just trying to look positive, my friend. I'm just trying to see positive because there's enough freaking negative around, right?
Well, I'm sure there's people recording music
mm-hmm.
all over the place, and it's gonna need to be recorded.
I know. When you get in the studios, crank up those preamps, man. Get those tubes fired up.
Yeah, I want to hear what your viewers have been working on.
Yeah, man, that's a good question. I'm always just talking about what I'm doing and whatever, and I'm trying to get more away from that and to find out what they really want to hear, what they're doing, because there's a lot of, as you know, Dennis, there's a lot of engineers out there that are actually taking you in the studio and actually showing you in real time what their mixes. So they'll show the screen. There'll be a little bitty picture of them down at the bottom, and they'll say, okay, this is what we're going to do here. We're going to, run this compressor on this, and this is the attack time, the release time. That they show you the whole ropes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do that. I pretty much just get on here and I try. I'm been trying to cater to a little bit of everybody. The people that are just beginning, because I remember whenever I started out recording, dude, I didn't know what to get. I didn't know, what was a good microphone or a bad microphone. Of course, they're all good to me, but I didn't know really what to purchase. I didn't know anything about compressors or any of that other good stuff.
It's really hard to get really started to know where, because in fact I heard someone else today saying that a lot of the times people's gear choices are dictated by somebody that they see. It's harder these days to find someone that had the opportunity to be or go through a studio experience, learning in the old-fashioned way, having a mentor or somebody that took the time, or at least that you saw equipment used in many different ways. So again, people say something like they saw on YouTube where one specific piece of gear does just one thing for that one particular time, and outside of that, people really don't know how to use it. So,
and all the different dolls out there now, man.
Right.
Like I've mixed.
In essence, they all do the basic, essential thing.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, I was thinking about earlier today, people go through the trouble of learning every possible combination of keystrokes for a program.
Right.
And to be perfectly honest, I haven't changed the way I work in Pro Tools in the last, how long I've been working on Pro Tools now? Since 2001.
Wow. Yeah.
And I haven't worked, maybe I learned, I don't know, 8 more commands.
But you get around just fine.
I work exactly in the same manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And all the different.
It's just one more thing. It's not, people treat it like it's the only thing that they need to know.
Right. Right. And I've actually mixed on Nuendo, Cubase, Logic, and PreSonus. Yeah. So those are 4 different, and Reaper 5.
Yeah, they're all valid formats. It's just how they work for you and what kind of differences you notice. I like I told you, Logic and Pro Tools. Pro Tools because everybody else uses it. And Logic sometimes it works for me in terms of mastering. It gives me the ability to sound a specific way.
Yeah, yeah. My son loves Logic. I don't know if I told you that, but he loves Logic, man. I mean, he is. I mean, that's his little baby.
Yeah, they designed the interface to be very easy to understand. And it's not that different from Pro Tools, but the differences are distinct.
Dennis, as always, I love having you on my show, man. Thank you so much.
I love being here.
Thank you so much, man.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Absolutely. Yeah, man. It's always good. So I always try to I like having you on because I like let my subscribers know just your experience in life, man. Your experience working with other engineers.
Well, I think it's shows like this where I think you get more than just looking at gear videos. A lot of times it's more of getting into the artist's head and knowing how to do that, and it's just being a genuine person. Right. Everything else will come afterwards.
Yeah. That's what a lot of the people that subscribe on my channel, that's what they say to me. They say, I just like the realness of your channel, man. I can get all this information anywhere in the world. But I like hanging out with you, man.
Because like you say, most people that really don't know the difference, any microphone's going to sound exactly the same, no matter whether it's 150,000 or a 57. Because I used to feel that way. I remember the first time, and I'll admit it, the first time that I had an outside project, and Mick let me borrow a 1072, a real 1072.
Oh wow!
Neve. It was a Brent Averill
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
the
yeah.
EQ and the 4 buttons on the side, everything. It was great.
Wow.
And I remember putting it up, and I was like, "Yeah, it sounds good."
Right. And there, you know what? Here's the thing about that knee piece, man. It's the go-to preamp. But here's the thing I really like about that preamp is just the openness of it and the clarity of it. God, it's almost like
that's what it is, because you can keep increasing that gain, and it's just gonna get louder, but not very distorted at all.
I know. I love. Wow.
It was. I remember it was funny, and thinking back now that I know the difference, it's just how naive it was for me to say something like that, but it wasn't wrong, because in essence, a microphone preamp is just supposed to give you gain.
Right.
Now, how all these different ones do it is their own specific flavor of doing that sort of thing, and how they achieves each way that you crank that thing is how it defines the character that we all come to recognize as warmth or what's the other big word that they use?
Fat, warm,
fat, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times you'll find that you grab a Neumann or you grab a 57 through one of those really nice preamps, and they all sound really freaking amazing.
They do sound amazing.
Yeah, you put a 57 through a 1073, you'll think it's a fucking Neumann.
Oh yeah, bad to the bone, man.
You'll be like, oh my god, this thing sounds amazing. What is this mic? And
I know.
Like, oh.
And I'll tell you another good one that I'm really, really impressed with, Dennis. I love that freaking Avalon gear. It's another one. I mean, it's right there with that. It's right there with that Neve as far as that sound goes, as far as the clarity and just the. And here's the thing, man. I'm about knobs and stuff and buttons, and when you go turn those knobs and you hear click, 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 and you try to wiggle it and everything, and it's just as solid as your arm, and you're going, dang, dude, this is the real deal here, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I enjoy that about good equipment. Anyway, thank you, Dennis, for joining in tonight, man.
My pleasure, man.
Hey, we're gonna do it. We have to do it
tonight.
Yeah, man, for coming in.
Do it again.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Bye,
everyone. Thank you, everyone out there. Thank you, Dennis. We will see you again. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, please do. Right? If you haven't slammed that bell, slam it and type down there as to why you love a Shure microphone. That's going to get you in the drawing. We got coming up Friday night. You do not want to miss out on Friday night, guys. We'll be giving away the Shure SM7B. Until then, we will see you tomorrow.